everyone, it's Miss Crystal from Way Public Library, and I'm here today so we can do a preschool story time together. Now, when you usually come in for story time at the library, we give you a little stamp on the hand, and a lot of times that will give you a clue as to what kind of stories we're going to talk about. So since I can't give you a stamp on the hand, we're going to do something else. So I have 3 clues for you today to help you figure out what kind of books we're going to talk about. The first clue, clue number 1, is a pillow. Clue number 2 is my nice comfy blankie. And clue number 3 is my little pink stuffed teddy bear. So if we look at those 3 clues, a pillow, a blanket, and a stuffed animal, what do you think we're going to talk about today? If you guess that we're going to talk about sleeping or taking naps, then give yourself a big round of applause and a big cheer. Yay, you guessed right. Okay, so let's get started with our first rhyme before we start reading our first book. So follow along with me. If you'd like to read a book, clap your hands. If you'd like to read a book, clap your hands. If you'd like to read a book, listen up and take a look. If you'd like to read a book, clap your hands. If you'd like to read a book, stamp your feet. If you'd like to read a book, stamp your feet. If you'd like to read a book, listen up and take a look. If you'd like to read a book, stamp your feet. One last verse. If you'd like to read a book, sit real still. If you'd like to read a book, sit real still. If you'd like to read a book, listen up and take a look. If you'd like to read a book, sit real still. So I'm guessing now we are ready for our first story. So let me pull that out and we can get started. This is going to be our first book, Chengdu Would Not Fall Asleep, written and illustrated by Barney Salzberg. It was late and it was quiet. And everyone in the bamboo grove was sleeping. Everyone except Chengdu. No matter what Chengdu tried, he would not fall asleep. Chengdu turned and he tossed and he twitched. But he would not fall asleep. Chengdu scrunched and he rolled and he hung upside down. But he still would not fall asleep. Chengdu was very tired and he really wanted to be sleeping. So he climbed up and up and up and up until he found the perfect spot. And soon everyone in the bamboo grove was sleeping. Everyone except Chengdu's brother Yan. The end. Thank you for sitting for that first story. We're going to move on to our next rhyme. Now here we're going to do a little rhyme called This is the Way We Yawn and Stretch. So you get to follow along and do the movements with me. This is the way we yawn and stretch. We yawn and stretch. We yawn and stretch. This is the way we yawn and stretch on our way to bed. Pretend you have a little scrubby. This is the way we take a bath, we take a bath, we take a bath. This is the way we take a bath on our way to bed. This is the way we read a book, we read a book, we read a book. This is the way we read a book on our way to bed. This is the way we hug and kiss, we hug and kiss, we hug and kiss. This is the way we hug and kiss on our way to bed. And this is the way we close our eyes, we close our eyes, we close our eyes. This is the way we close our eyes on our way to bed. Okay, good job, guys. Now we're going to move on to our second book. Now we're going to start our second story. This one is called Sleep, Big Bear Sleep by Maureen Wright, illustrated by Will Hillenbrand. Old Man Winter from a storm cloud spied his big bear friend in the countryside. He leaned to the earth and softly sighed, "Sleep, Big Bear, sleep." But Big Bear didn't hear very well. He couldn't sleep in his den in the dell. He thought he heard as twilight fell, "Drive a jeep, Big Bear, drive a jeep." So Big Bear yawned as he drove around in a jeep on the road just south of town. But after a while he stopped in a park. An old man whispered as it grew dark, "Sleep, Big Bear, sleep." But Big Bear didn't hear very well. He couldn't sleep in his den in the dell. He thought he heard as dry leaves fell, "Sweep, Big Bear, sweep." So Big Bear went to a house down the street and swept each room so nice and neat. But after a while he yawned again, and Old Man Winter warned his friend, "Sleep, Big Bear, sleep." But Big Bear didn't hear very well. He couldn't sleep in his den in the dell. He thought he heard as shadows fell, "Leap, Big Bear, leap." So Big Bear found a frog he knew, and played leapfrog while the cold wind blew, till all at once he fell to the ground. The wind through the trees was the only sound, and Old Man Winter said with a frown, "Sleep, Big Bear, sleep." But Big Bear didn't hear very well. He couldn't sleep in his den in the dell. He thought he heard as darkness fell, "Dive deep, Big Bear, dive deep." So Big Bear padded to a clear blue lake, finding it was hard to stay awake. He dove in deep and swam to the shore. He had never been so very tired before. His head drooped down and he let out a snore, and Old Man Winter said once more, "Sleep, Big Bear, sleep." But Big Bear didn't hear very well. He couldn't sleep in his den in the dell. He thought he heard as snowflakes fell, "Climb a mountain steep, Big Bear, steep." So Big Bear trudged to the mountain top, where the cold wind blew and the temperature dropped. He sat on a stump on the highest spot and wished for a blanket and a fold-up cot. Then he stumbled back down with his eyes half shut, so tired he didn't know which end was up. Old Man yelled while shaking his head, "Hey there, Bear, did you hear what I said? It's winter time, now go to bed." Big Bear's eyes were droopy and red. "You could have told me before," he said. He lumbered nearby to his cozy den, rubbed his eyes, and yawned again. He put on his PJs and blew out the light, and fluffing his pillow, he said, "Good night." The end. So thank you guys for joining me for this story time, and I will see you again soon. Bye.